Hello from me, Lazarus. Welcome to the next free lesson from the second part of my book. Introduction to Lazarus IDE Part 2. Last time we looked at, more precisely we started the second point of Chapter 2 and reached the password box element. But right now we will open the next element after password box, InputQuery. InputQuery is a data entry dialog with advanced capabilities. The function can also be used as a password box for entering sensitive data, such as passwords, by replacing the user-entered characters with asterisks. InputQuery has two variants. The first is the standard version without masking. Here's the syntax there, functionality, parentheses, and these arguments are written. And the second option is a version with the parameter mask input, which hides the input text. That is, it is similar there, except that this parameter is inserted. Mask input, and the rest remains the same. The function argument, that is, its parameters are as follows: a caption, title of the dialog, a prompt. A text prompt, what should be entered, and value is a value from a variable of type string. For the initial value in which the result will be stored if the user clicks OK. The function returns a Boolean value by default. Yes, a Boolean value, is true or false, or yes or no, to put it colloquially. When it returns true, it's true, and it happens when the user presses OK. And it will return false when the user clicks cancel and closes the dialog. Here's an example with the first option but without. But let me just say, here with the second option, with the mask input parameter a value is set and then the text is seen as asterisks. And in the first option, this parameter is simply omitted, not written. And in this case it has the value false. Here's an example of the first option without the mask input parameter. And we see the value we write is visible. And the second option, here's an example of it with the mask input parameter. And then we see that the value is not visible, but asterisks are visible. And when should we use InputQuery? When we want to combine the capabilities of input box and password box together. Here let's look at the example in our programs. Here, first in this let's write something. OK. Here's the example in the first case, when everything is visible and then it's visible OK. Here's the second case. OK. Again, you can see what we're writing, because here and in both programs I've given the first option. If I give the second option, you'll see asterisks, as I explained before. For example, here when I type OK, I just see 2 asterisks. That's all for this lesson. Best regards.